it seems that in the spirit of carrying everybody along, I would have to take these two suggestions. So two people here are not yet, have not started this quiz. So let's look at it together first. So please just stop sharing for a little while. Thank you. Okay, so it turns out that I already finished the quiz before seeing this message. So let's go through it again together for this person. In your task 0, your quiz 0, the following codes give the correct output. So the answer is the third one that says we want to assign J a new value, not compare it. So it should be J equal to J minus 1. I hope that's clear. Question 1. For the people who have not done the quiz, I hope that's clear. Please, I need response. Question 1. The following code give the incorrect outputs. Which of the following statements about what is causing the error is true? We have two options. The first one is that J never increments, so it would always be less than. Second one is that J never increments, so it's always going to print. Question 1. I hope you got that. Question 2. Look at the following code. In the main.c file, on what line is the first error that the compiler returns? Line 11. On line 11. See, out of all these whole tasks, this question 3 is this question 2 is the most important one. On what line is the error that it returns? How do you see your checker errors? This is how your checker returns errors that look something like this. And it could be confusing at first. But look at it. In function main.c file, line 11, word 7, error, I, undeclared, first use function. This is how to read errors. So you see the line, you see the word, and then you see the error. The error is that this I is undeclared. So there is somewhere you are supposed to have put I before now. You did. This is the first place that has an error. This is where you fix first. And then you can now, after fixing this, run it again. And most likely than not, these other errors will be gone. Or they could still be there, and then you look at how to fix it. Hope you got that. So on here, I don't know if you're still here, but I hope you also got that. So those not done with the quiz should have been done by now. And let's go on. Go on.
Yeah, that question you just said now, I saw it. I never understand what it means until you are saying it. But I came across something like that. Answering that question back, that I that is saying we did not fix, is it the quotation putting on it shows that is the problem, or just only indicating error? But I want to ask another one here. Main 11 was just like the note each underline identifier is reported only one for each function that appears in main. What does this mean here? Then which one is having a problem here?
Okay, first, this quotes that says I,
Yeah.
the quote are not part of your code. It's quoting your code.
Mhm.
It's quoting it for you.
Okay.
And there's usually an arrow that kind of indicates or what line your error is coming from. What line your error is
Okay.
coming from. Now, to fix this error, we do not remove this I. It says it's undeclared. So we go and declare it. How do you declare
Okay.
this I? That's where your personal learning comes in. And that's why when you learn
Okay.
personally, doing the tasks now becomes a lot more easier. So if you had followed, if you had been here at the first time, what we did when we were doing these assignments goes a whole long way to help in fixing this kind of errors on declare. You remember how we declare variables? So we have ints here. How about you change this here to I and declare it somewhere else before? So that you know that you're just printing, you've declared it before, and in your for loop, you can now call it. So it's your personal learning now that you've been doing for hours, for days, that you come and start trying to fix. And then when you see these errors, it would most likely make sense. Let's go to tag 0. In most projects, we often give you one. This is not question. It's an introduction to the question. This is what they often give us. This is our main.h file. And look at what they are saying we should do here. Based on the main.c file above, create a file named 0 mains where our tag starts from. This is English language now. Based on this, your first work is to create a file named 0 main c. So let's do that together. Where's your sandbox? Sandbox is not given for this project. They expect that by now should have either be using vagrants or what's the other, should be connecting to SSH. So let me go to a previous project to collect the sandbox. So for those wondering how we do the SSH thing, since most people use bash, let's use bash here. So if you've not started, you can start.
How do we use batch here?
By doing what I'm doing.
Okay. Sorry, yeah.
All right, I'm connected now. I'm seeding into ALX low-level programming. I already have a folder called 0x03 debugging here. So I'll seed into it. Now you are going to create your folder called 0x03 debugging first off. And okay, let me, for the sake of you in this project, rename this to this and create it now from the start. So first thing we want to do, I hope you can see my screen clearly, is make directory your folder What's our folder here? 0x03 debugging. So you can start making your own. This is how I get mine, by copying and pasting. Now I can seed into 0x03 debugging. This is what I have there. So what are we to create now? According to what you can see here, and according to the requirement, what files, how many files are we going to create for this tag 0?
Two files.
Thank you. So let's do that.
And main H.
Thank you. Yeah, I copied it to avoid, to save time, and also to avoid making errors. Now, remove this comma, press enter. This is what we have. We have two files. Clear, right? We've started though. The tags now started. So if I'm going to write a pseudocode, the pseudocode is to, number one, create my two files first. Then I'll now start thinking, what would be my main.h file?
Wait. After creating the file, after creating the directory, you have to create a file for main CRD. People.
Have you seeded into your directory?
Yes.
Have you created these two files that I highlighted there?
This one file, no, I'm not going.
So why? So after creating these files, how did I get the SSH code? Go to any of your projects where you had sandbox for and get the SSH. Just go to any of your projects where you have sandbox and get the SSH code from there. These are things that's like anyone where you had the SSH code. Run and go to get a sandbox, CSSH, copy, see the password, copy. That's it. Okay, now tag 0 back. Based on the main.c file above, create a file named 0 main.c. So which file are we going to use to create the file called 0 main.c? Which file are we going to use from this? Okay, from these statements? What file are we going to use? I need response, please. Based on the main.c, this is the question. Based on the main.c file above, create a file named 0 main.c. So which file are we going to get the contents that we put in our 0 main.c?
Main.h. Okay.
Based
I think we are going to check main.c. Get main.h. Main.h because it has a
look at the question again. Based on the main.c file above, create a file named 0 main.c. So where do I get the contents that I will put in my 0 main? Which file?
Main.c.
Okay. Now, this is the most important step. The answer is main.c. This is the most important step in your coding, your thought process, your you're being able to know what is expected of you based on the main.c file above. Now, this is your main.h file. Can you see it? Now, you have cat main.h. At this point, you should have known how to work with Ubuntu. So when you see cat, you know that it's not that animal. This is how to list the content of a file, cat. Now, you have cat main.c. And the question says, based on the main.c file above, can you now see the main.c file above here? So what are we going to do with this file now? What are we going to do with this file? According to the question, create a file named 0main.c based on the main.c file above. I've seen the main.c file. What are we going to do with this main.c file?
Okay, we are going to copy the content in that main.c file into 0main.c.
Thank you. These are the contents. Copy. pi 0main.c and paste. Any questions so far?
You're still on track.
So, how do you know you have to copy when you copy?
Fine. That is where we expect you now to show us that you are a problem solver. Based on the main.c file above, create a file named 0main. It's just like someone gives you this. I hope you can see my hand now.
Yeah.
Just like someone gives you this phone and say, based on the design of this phone, produce a new one. At that time, you already know that the person is saying, follow the design of this phone to this one. Did that example make it clear?
Yeah.
Is that Onye? I copied what was given to me by ALX. This is what I copied. What is in my main.c. I copied it to my 0main.c file. That's what I did.
So what I'm saying is we have to create from 0main.c to main.c.
Can you see the two files you asked to create here?
Yes, 1 and 2 here.
Have you created them?
Yes, I have created them.
You now copy what you have here. What you have here, your main.c. This is it, cat main c. You copy what you have there and paste that 0main.c copied. Let's go to the second thing we are asked to do. This file must text the function. This one does not concern me because, does it concern me? This is me thinking within myself. Let's assume I don't know if this thing concerns me. You are not coding the solution. You are testing it. However, you can adapt the function from this to compile this main file to test locally. So it means if I want to test my file locally, I want to compile it with GCC and test it locally, I should go and take a function from there. But let's see what we have now. You only need to upload this and main.h. We'll provide our own function. You are not allowed to add or remove. You may only change one line in this tax. So what are we to do with our main.c. We've finished this one now. We've copied what they say we should copy. So what are we to do? Where do we get what we should do from? I just indirectly said it by first highlighting this word and asking if it concerns me or not. This is what we are to do. Test that the function, positive or negative, gives the correct output when given the case of. You remember when you had the file in if else called positive and negative? Can you still remember? When you had that if is 0 and is greater than 0, then print this.
Yes.
If you are tried hard to do that task on your own, there's no way you will forget this debugging task. Once again, the tasks builds on each other. So if you copy to finish hello world, sharp sharp, and now you are in functions and nested loops, and you want to calm down and do it. Sorry. Now, here says this file must test that the function gives the correct output. For you to be able to debug something, it's just like someone gives you a phone and says, find out what is wrong with this phone. If you don't even know the phone, is it possible for someone that does not know the phone to find out what will be wrong with this phone?
No.
And it seems that that is the case here. So this debugging task, in its clear term, builds from previous tasks. If you've not clearly understood the previous one, if else and why, clearly understood it, you didn't do it yourself, to put it that way, it would be more difficult for you to now solve this one. But now we have only done 0 main.c. If you note, I've not done main.h, and there's a reason why. So let's go and look at our main.h file. Let's look at our main.h file. Main.h. So far, so good. Our main.h file is empty. So what do we put into our main.h file? Because we were not given, they didn't tell us what to put. So how do you know what to put in your main.h file?
You are copying what is here.
Thank you.
You are copying it. Put it.
Fine. So if you had copied what we had in our main.c, what makes you think that we should not also copy the same thing we have in our main.h? This is where you have to, your own reasoning comes in now. This is where you try to think. And so we have our 0 main c and our 0 main.h file here. And in our 0 main.c file, we have the void positive or negative function, which is here, positive or negative function. Let's go and look at what we have in our code, main.h, positive or negative. And let's look at this. Exactly what we have here. And so for this task, we are asked to change only, you may change only one line. So what lines are we changing? to test that the function positive or negative gives the correct output. Let's go back and see how tricky, or maybe not tricky, it would be. Now 0 main.c. We're asked to change only one line. See what we're asked to do. The file must test that the function gives the correct output when given the case of what number do we have here?
Yeah.
Fine. So all we are going to do is to make sure that our function works well when we give it the case of 0. Look at this code now and tell me what case our function is being given here.
98.
How did you know that our function is being given 98? Because I'm saying return 0. Yeah, I mean, I don't understand though. So how did you come about the 98? Because this thing that people are just doing like magic. How did we come about 98? Any ideas? How did we know that the case here is 98? Meanwhile, I'm saying return 0. Yeah, I'm saying return 0. All of a sudden, you say the case is 98.
Because 98 is right. But I think the value that will return is 0. 98 has been the integer value. The value assigned to the integer high. So all we need to do is to remove the 98 and put the 0 there in order to test the code.
But yeah, it says thank you. Yeah, it says that we should test the function that it gives the correct output when given case of 0. You are not saying integer value. English here say when given case of 0. Is somebody. And so this is where you get to think. The whole project is to make you think. Let's go back to our main.h. When you copy, and that's why even if you copy, try to read what you copy. vi main.h. In our first function, positive or negative, which you can clearly understand why we have positive or negative, because here you can see positive or negative. Inside the quotation, inside these brackets, did they write anything here?
No.
Fine. But in here, where we copied from our main.h from, where we copied our main.h from, what did they write as the...
There's an idea. There's an idea.
That this function is going to have an integer value of I. And so in our main.h, I have this integer value of I because I just copied exactly what's there. Now, let's go back to our 0 main.c. And here, int I appears again. First, you know this is commented out code. So nothing that happens here is going to confuse you because this is out of the way. You already know this one, out of the way. Our problem now is here. Int I. Where does the I come from?
It's like we are going to change that integer main to integer positive or negative I, and we use Betty statement to address it as well.
Wonderful. By the time you change this one to this one, and then you change Betty, Look at the
Yes,
requirement of your code. You may only change what?
Just one line.
Okay. So that kicks out your thought process. This is a very fine thought process. And you come back to the code, read everything, and you see that that would not work. You may only change one line. Looking at that alone, you know that that won't work. So, next question is, what work? Test. We've seen int I in main.h. And all of a sudden, we have int I here. So, where does int I come from?
In our main.h, according to the proceedings of nested loop, sorry, the function, creating our own function. So I think, can you open the other page of main.h?
If I just go on.
So you know, the proceeding of creating our own function. So we stated it already in main.h where we coded it. So here we are just calling it.
Thank you. You're correct.
In our include as main, compared to unlike the include STDI without history. But we used to main.h because we are the one creating the function ourselves. So that's just the function we are calling back here in where we are writing our code.
You're correct. So hope you understand what he just said.
No.
So help you understand what he just. What am I doing? Things like this, yeah. So help you understand what he just said. Look at this. You have include here a header file called main.h. You're something you're not used to because you don't stdio.h. So start thinking.
Yes.
In stdio.h, where does printf come from? If you've been in any of my class before, this one should be a very simple question. Where do we get this function printf from?
Printf comes from STDI. STDI.
STDI.
So STDI followed H.
From the STDI.h, printed in it.
Fine. So where does this function, positive or negative, bracket open I, comes from?
Now it's coming from the main.h.
Fine. So where does int I comes from?
Main.h.
So if we don't have main.h, we'll not have int I.
Yes.
So if I come here to this file Ubuntu and do something like int I, I'll be wrong.
We can see we can see the main.h there is where we define our own function. That is the user function. But this STDIO is this one is inbuilt function on C. But the main.h is our own user function. So whatever function we define there, we have to call it into this main function.
It's like my understanding that integer our variable will be assigned to a variable so that we can be able to call it in the printing function. The print for function rather.
Thank you for all your answers. I'm glad because
I think that int I is responsible for stdio.h. Why positive or negative is responsible for main.h.
Thank you for all your answers. Now, I'm glad because what you've started doing is learning. So in case you've not been doing this, we can assume that you've not been learning, right? Now you start. So just as I asked one very wrong question and someone did answer and I said you're correct. Only for me to prove that my own question was wrong in the first place. I asked where does int I come from? And the first time someone did say it came from main node. What we define in those header files are functions. Printf is a function. Positive or negative function. So how does int I concern what we are doing? Inside this positive or negative, by default, this is how the code came. What was the value that was assigned to this positive or negative? What's the parameter it's taking?
98.
Yeah.
98.
Here. What's the parameter it's taking? Fine. As it's defined here. Thank you. This our main function. What's it taking here?
Nothing inside it.
Fine. And so since this is taking I, now you see how int I now relates to this. And what is the value that I was given?
98.
And so when they say
98.
this function, that the function positive or negative gives the correct output when given a case of 0, what can we assume that the function 98 positive or negative I takes as it is now? What can we assume that is currently?
Positive is either less than or equal to 98.
Yes, it's currently
It's
taking.
positive because 98 is positive.
We can assume that this function here is currently taking the case of 98 because of this I that was a function. And our question says we should just that question again. That fine tricky question. Just make sure that this thing gives the correct output when given the case of 0. So after all this back and forth, can I agree? We change this 98. It took us how many minutes to understand that this 98 should be 0? You had been checking the time. How many minutes did it take us?
I said it before now.
So there was someone who told me this afternoon that I should try to explain more when people have issues than tell them to compare with my GitHub. And so I was like, okay, if I'm trying to do that now, when you ask a question on the group that your tax is not working, I'll give you a link to Google Meet immediately. I will take like 20 to 25 minutes to explain why that one is not working. And then when you fix that one, you get to the next issue and we do it like that. Would that be realistically reasonable?
No.
So it is you.
Not like this.
It is you. It's not even reasonable. It cannot happen. It's not possible. Nobody will do it with you. How many hours do you have in a day that you want to take 20 minutes to fix one small thing? But this is what you should be doing with yourself. You know why it may be difficult for you to do this? Because first of all, do you know about functions in C? Let's be honest now. Look at the project you've done just now that you started C. Look at the project you've done. And if I check your scores now, like this person, your scores is showing that you've done the project. Look at them. You've done hello world, you've done variables 1, if, else 3, while 4, functions 5, nested loops 6. Already done 16s just now. Ask yourself, in reality, how many do I know? Can you see that our tags had to do with function? We're just looking at the zero, positive, negative function, looking at header file, looking at the parameter the function take, which is I. And so if I don't understand functions, how on earth would I know where to put the zero? So that's why sometimes you have problems. And there's really very little.
Not sometimes, always.
And so the only way to solve it is to take time. So imagine someone that they gave this task at that time, these functions, nested loops, variables, if else. And while everybody was rushing to do the task, person came here and looked for a 10 hours video, or a 5 hours video, or a 2-hour video, or a 30 minutes video that started explaining C. At first, it would look like the person is doing what does not make sense. You have a project. You have a project. Focus. It will so expire. That is at first, though. That's how you'll be looking at it. But now, that person, when he sees functions, all he has to do is calm down. But it does not mean that if you finish watching a 5-hour video, you come and do this thing. No. Now, when you watch my 2 hours tutorial now, you say, I watched your tutorial. I watched it. I cannot solve it. No, sometimes you have to calm down. Sometimes you have to calm down. Relax. If it took...
The point is, bro, the point is, these terms, these terminologies here, is like most of us is foreign. Like this is, we are coming across all of this. War, warrior, whatever, for the first time. Functions, so loops, so what, all of these terms is just, we are just coming across it. Like for me, for the first time. So for me to check and understand the questions, the requirements, it takes hours to even understand the concept, then understand what you are required to do, then now do the task. That is the problem.
Yes. Now you understand. Yes. Now you understood why ALX made you write 100 words later to yourself, promising yourself to do hard things. If you remember that time?
Sorry, sir. I want to ask, this break that we're having, for those of us that are just joining this season, from the scratch, just to revise and have better knowledge.
You're having break?
Next week.
You're a big man. You can't have break. Man.
So that I start from the beginning again, from Shell.
I'm not even aware that you have break.
Yes, it should be.
This break that you have.
From Shell navigation again up to here.
Okay. This break that you have, won't you come and take me? Let's go for our own break now. You take me to United States of Saudi Arabia. Oh, okay. So later we'll talk about. Hey. So I was thinking that's what you tell me that we'll go and do a break now. So that I said they gave you break to rest. You say you still want to do hard things. Your morale is high, yo. Okay, later we'll look at break now. Let's look at one more thing in tax 1. So that's all for tax 0. Everything to do in tax 0 was to simply change this I to assign the 98 to 0. And our job here is done. In task 1,
Let's see, but I'm having an error message.
You want to use compiler, you will come here.
Using this to see what that you can copy and
Every error you will have is probably because you missed a step in the requirement.
it's like you are going to git add as well.
No, you have to do this first. You go to this tax now to steal the function. After stealing the function, you come to this main file, main.c, right? And paste it in there before you are able to compile. So that's why it's not compiling. That's why it's not compiling. So if you want to make it compile, you have to follow this process. But when I've done the compiling with my head already, why would I want to compile? It's like for you to do that on your own time, but for me, we just compiled it by breaking down the questions. So everything the compiler would have looked out for, I've searched it for myself, and I know it would work. Just like that. If it doesn't work, I'll look at it again. Look at file 1 now. If you were here at the start of this thing, when I did talk about this stats and how my first step, my first pseudocode going to be to go and create a GitHub repo or clone it. Now, using this method I just showed you previously, what should you do in your one main.c? What should be your first thing now, looking at all these things? What should be your first step, looking at this whole tax of tax 1, since we're done with 0? What should be your first step? Is this plain? What kind of plane is that?
No, I should not go against my baby.
You went at
My children killing my attention. That's why so she's not playing. I'm about to get to hear. Wait, they're playing. I can't go outside. No, if I combine this and 0, so we do not create any file for that we possibly dot C. So it shows using the combining message -1 that is to compile. So I have an error on no source file that is concerning positive omility.c. Hello.
Is this plain too? It's just what I finish explaining now. Sorry, don't worry. I'm recording this session and you can always look at it again. Because if we continue like this now, one person will just tell us that he went to watch the highlight of France versus Morocco and we should start from the quiz again. So, so
what you did this night was a very perfect of you. But do you know one thing? Like anxiety and rush has killed many of us here. I still don't go against my baby girl. So, can you come again? Because you know, like when I explained something to us, I was thinking maybe you only explain that to us understand. But I never knew you already told me that like that. I didn't know you were very minutes. And we didn't see you, and we didn't see you moving from VI back to your coding. Maybe that's another thing.
okay, if you had known that I'm solving the task, you would have left your baby girl. Okay. So now have you left your baby girl or you still don't know if I'm solving?
I've said that to go to that room. Let me leave it. You can see my room for me.
It's okay. Abby, exactly. One, some people have a career in comedy, Sha. So in tax one, what would be the first thing I would do to fix this tax one?
Okay, the first thing to do is to hello.
Yes, I can hear you.
The first thing, according to the question, they ask us not to delete, but just comments. So that means you are going to create a file, one main.c.
Thank you.
Paste the content of that main.c.
Wait.
Into the
Sir, please wait. When you were saying it, I was attending to my baby boy. Let me follow. You said I would copy one main.c. I would create one main.c.
Yes.
Oh yeah, in case you think that I'm not solving the tax now, it's the tax I want to solve. Oh, so please don't attend to your baby boy or baby girl again. Oh. Thank you. So after opening VI now, tell us the next step, I beg.
Then we are going to copy the content in that main.c file. That's one main.c file.
One main.c. Where can I see it?
One. Yeah, this is.
This one.
Yeah. Start from no.
Is it here?
No.
Where? Up.
This is a quiz question.
It's in the quiz.
No, it's not in the quiz. In general, I think the guy is referring to question 1 per se. So the
Okay.
question 1.
I was just doing that deliberately, so that I was just trying to imitate some people.
So the content.
So I should copy here now.
You copy, yeah. That's it.
Copy. So this is ALX now encouraging you to copy. Abby? I've copied, sir. What's next? Should I git add?
No. That's not the question here now.
Oh. Okay. Copy the main file. So next time you are going to copy from someone, feel bold. ALX have given you the go ahead to copy. Now, they said you should comment out the part of the code that is causing this output to go into an infinite loop. So, assuming I don't know, the question I'll be asking myself now, this one is very simple. This one, just say comment the code that is making it to go into an infinite loop. So it means that if I want to be able to debug this problem or to fix this problem, what should I know how to do first? Which concepts in C should I learn first?
To understand the part I'm talking about. 30 concepts. Commenting concept.
We have different answers. We have Betty, we have commenting, or we have loop. Which one are we taking?
Loop. That is better approach. You hear your comment.
So if I don't know how to loop, do a for loop, do a while loop. In this case now, what kind of loop do we have here? Is it a for loop?
While loop.
Fine. So it means for me to solve task 1, I should know how to do a loop. And according to the project ALX I've given you here, you know, ALX thinks you know about loop because here it's talking about nested loops, while loop, your 2 previous projects. You see, this program is not going to wait for you. So it means that you have to put more effort. Now you can see why more and more you have to focus a whole lot on your learning, not on tax. The more you focus on tax, the more they will keep choking you. So after now, take it to heart. Now let's go and look at this. They said we should comment out the place that is causing this thing to go into a while loop. It turns out that in while statement, we have, I'm getting a whole back. If you are not saying anything, please can you mute? Thank you. It turns out that in while loop now, I would have to start thinking, assuming I know while loops already. What is it here that is making this thing go to an infinite loop? I is equal to 0. Why I is less than 10, to put char I. Okay, let me explain this in simple terms. Let's say we say goes. We say goes is equal to, or what do we use? What example can we use? Like this I is equal to 0. We say battery, your battery of your phone is equal to 0. Like the battery is dead, it's equal to 0. And then I'm now saying, as long as that battery is equal to 0, please do not charge the phone. Will that battery ever turn to 1?
No.
No.
Sir.
With that phone, would we ever charge that phone? According to my condition, that's why your battery is equal to 0. You never charge your phone. Would we ever charge that phone? Because currently the battery is 0.
No, sir.
Fine.
No.
No.
So you can say to infinity, infinite, to infinity. See, that person thinks about his statement again. That phone is never going to charge. To infinity, infinite loop. You just the person is God. If you compile this using GC 1 main.c, now let's run this. Watch what will happen. Watch the violence we incur on ourselves. Let's see. Okay, we have nothing here. Our program doesn't end. Okay, program has hung against me. Finally, our program just started misbehaving. Now. Because the statement we have here, let's say I use something like, let me make this one relatable to you. Let's say I do this. My wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. After coding as an ALX programmer, I decide to do that. Can you see the violence we have on our screens?
Yes.
So this is what it's saying now. Now you see that program. If I continue to allow this thing run, I would end up crashing my computer. Just end up crashing my. And so I'll need to stop it from running. at some point or the other. And I have a problem on me. It has finally stopped running. So let's count how many times it's in ran. Let's go. I'm scrolling up. Oh. This is what some nice programmers. Control C. You try this with me.
Close.
Thank God. Thank God for that. Please don't try it.
I want to find that. Can we now see that why is not having connection with that eye, or is that why that causes infinite loop? I don't know.
The example I gave now, the I is equal to 0. You are not saying y 0. So this I is equal to 0. So if we don't want to call I, what do we call?
0.
Now, in the next statement, where I say y 0 is less than 10, print I. At what point would 0 become greater than 10?
That's a religious statement is very bad.
Fine.
Statement is really bad.
Yes. Now you know it because you, to a good extent now, you understand the question. This is why someone who takes his time to continue to learn will eventually become better. So if I'm going to comment out something, yes, said we should not delete it. What should I comment out to make my while loop stop going?
The while loop and the push we comment from the while loop to that with the curly braces what is it called? Then the pusher bracket I to comment it out.
Yes.
And the I, yes. I think so.
Correct. This is what we have to comment out. This while loop. Because this is our problem. Y0 is less than 10. So it means that sometime we'll change this. That was that difficult? Was tax 1 really difficult?
It was not difficult, but understanding the requirements is more difficult.
Fine. That's where you are now. That's what makes you a problem. No, that time now, do you remember when you check Google to check the salary of a software engineer in a month?
I did it though.
And also in US, the average salary of a developer is a year is $100,000 US. Wow, where's calculator? Dollar rate is what? What's dollar rate as of today? Or the general one?
People go die for this program without treatment.
100,000 less 750. All right. So yeah, times 100,000 a year times 750. Oh yeah, 75 million. No matter what it takes, you see this ALX, I must finish them. Yes.
This one blood money.
75 milli. So you now start thinking. In a month, 6.2 or more. This programming, that's my career. Now we are just starting C, and look at the problems you are facing already. It's looking like French. You want to get 75 million free. Think anybody will pay you 75 million for free?
Where will you get who kill am na ALS to this place o? Who kill am na ALS? Na him be this one o.
So,
Me, I don't have mind in this one o.
so next time you want to give up, remember that you are about to give up 75 million naira. It's all right. Now for the rest of the task, this is going to print the list of 3 integers. And this has to do with if, else statements. And this one, task 3, is the most difficult out of the rest. Task 3 has problems. Task 3 is there to give you, task 3 don't want peace at all. It wants problems. And it will take you some while. But for task 2, you're also going to have 2 files, main.h and toLargestNumber.c. And then, as usual, you are going to copy all of this. And after copying that, you are now going to fix error. The error is that in toLargestNumber.c, it has to print out the largest of 3 numbers, no matter the case, correctly. So you can use my GitHub account to fix it if you are still having it. Because to be honest and to be serious, this debugging is not something, especially this one, it's not something I expect you to just know from now. Like, just go ahead and know it, fix it. This is the reason why I don't expect you to know it from scratch now and be able to fix it. Because at the time when the person talking with you now did it, what was his own score? But I know that most of you here will actually get higher than this person. That's and that's actually a good thing. Don't get 200. Oh, 75 million. And so you can check from there now to fix your issues from my GitHub repository. And that's why looking at everything from all angles, sometimes I really know how difficult it can be for you to fix these things yourself. That's why I will tell you, these GitHub accounts, come and compare with what you've done. This user here has over 1,028 contributions in last year. Some people have 7 contributions in the last year. So I don't expect you and this user here to actually understand things the same way, at least for now. So it's all fine if you come here and check code and compare. But if all we have been saying makes sense to you and you decide within yourself that I don't know it, instead of me to go and start getting scores that I don't know how I got, I'm going to leave it. That 50% where you did that 40 something, that's 3% or that's 0. I'm going to leave it like that. If you decide like that, then it's actually a very nice decision. But do you leave it forever? No. Now think, like in this project now, this project has to do with else. So you start learning about if else statements. That's what I'll try to do tomorrow in our special class by 8 to 10 p.m. This one was a lot more special because I've added plenty extra time. But we'll not go to penalties in this one. And so tomorrow we'll continue now from if-else statement. Maybe at the end of tomorrow, with the challenge I would also give you tomorrow, you should be able to see if you can now attempt one, two largest numbers.c by yourself confidently. And I have no doubt that if you are here tomorrow and you pay attention, you would be, that is if you do not attend to your baby girl and you pay attention, you would be able to do this two largest numbers.c. I did not call anybody's name. Oh.
Don't worry. You are coming to that stage. Don't worry.
And so, thank you so much for being here. Lastly, if you come to my GitHub, please star my repo. Star my repo. You can start it by clicking on this button that you would see here. Any of my ALX low-level programming, can see the button here. Please click on the star my repo. To get my GitHub account, you can just come here to search and search for Bwave or search for Bright Daniel. By searching Bwave or Bright Daniel, see me. Searching, yes. All right, lastly.
Okay. Please, concerning last project, there's this thing.
Yes.
So the question says, write a program that prints all single-digit number of base 10, starting from 0, followed by new line. So when I tried to solve the problem, I was using 0 to 9, but I was wrong. So when I checked the repository, I saw 58 48 something.
Yes.
So I don't know how you got the 48 and 58.
These are the kind of questions I like to answer. I wanted to tell you to shift it to tomorrow, but because I like to answer these kind of questions, I'll tell you to shift it till Monday.
All right. I think that is the code. You need to gather shit at the one day. Somebody can share that. Let me ask the question that can give you point.
All right. So that 58 to 48 is something called an ASCII key. An ASCII. ASCII C program. That 0 to 9, they were not saying you should print out literal numbers.
Okay.
It was asking you to print characters between 0 to 9. If you saw 65 to 127, then it was asking you to print characters, not literal numbers.
Okay.
And then to print, yes, when we use this ASCII code, 65 here means A. 127 means Z. Abi, small letter A. So that's why you have ASCII values like that. I don't exactly know the question, so I'm just trying to like think based on what you've told me. But why I had that is because I use something called an ASCII value. Yes, and it's the same thing as printing A.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, but thank you for your question. That was nice, and that would be it for That should be it for today. Any more questions, you can send me a message.